Hi, I want to come to the defence of King and Conqueror, the BBC new drama series, historical drama series, about the events leading up to the Battle of Hastings and the Norman invasion of England. I've read a whole heap of nonsense from so-called critics, so-called historians attacking this show, so I really want to come to its defence. Now, I need to, possibly as a bit of background, tell you that 25 years ago I did work for the BBC, but I worked for the BBC in news and not drama, just in case anybody looks at my CV. But the first thing I wanted to say is that historical fiction is fiction first, history second. It always has been. I'm sure that there were people who attacked William Shakespeare for his historical dramas, saying that's not completely accurate. The point is that fiction, drama, needs a structure, it needs an approach to characters and plot that doesn't always chime with being absolutely historically accurate. So while historical drama is rooted in the history, it nevertheless has to create compelling characters linked to a plot that pulls the viewer, listener, user, whatever, along. That is the nature of historical fiction. I wish some historians would understand that. There is a difference between a historical drama and a documentary. I even saw one historian on Twitter today saying, don't watch this, watch that. And the that in question was a documentary. Fine, go and watch a documentary if you can't handle a drama. Now, I may have some quibbles about the quality of the script, but let's be clear about one thing. Some people have been saying, oh, the dialogue wasn't authentic. What the hell does that mean? You can't have the whole damn thing in Old English and Norman French, for God's sakes, unless you're Mel Gibson, and of course you want to do the history of the Bible, for example, in Latin and Aramaic. Fine, knock yourself out. I, Claudius, back in 1976... was attacked by the critics for exactly the same thing. And the BBC, of course, made that series. It was attacked for having Romans talk in a naturalistic, modern way. The point is, that's how Romans or Saxons or Normans spoke at the time. They didn't talk in some kind of mannered speech. A lot of this, by the way, has come from the Victorians or the Georgians in terms of how they've portrayed ancient history on stage. I can assure you that your average Norman, Saxon, whether elite or peasant, spoke pretty naturally, much as people do today. And if we're going to convey the events of those times, we might as well use modern dialogue. In fact, I'd go for slang and the whole thing. Then, of course, we have those viewers who cannot abide to see anybody black, Asian or LGBT on their TV screen. That's their real problem. They're just not courageous enough to admit it or honest enough to admit it. Instead of which they say, it's woke nonsense. Well, just come out and say you're the sort of person who gritted their teeth all the way through Nkuti Gatwa as Doctor Who. You just don't like black people unless it's the black and white minstrel show being on your TV screens. I'm sick to death of this insidious racism that's creeping into so-called TV criticism. In terms of this woke nonsense argument, I'm pretty sure that most of these people have never read a history book on Saxon or Norman, England, France, whatever. What they're really falling back on are Victorian representations of Saxon and Norman England, all the stuff about the Norman yoke and Saxon England being some, merry utopia, old England, all that sort of nonsense. That's what they want to see on screen, which chimes with their flag waving and so on. It's a very Victorian and even 20th century view of Saxon and Norman England. One thing it fails to do is put England in a much broader geographic and geopolitical perspective. So, England was very much part of a wider European scene. I mean, all these nobles, the Normans, the Vikings, the Saxons, were all bloody related to each other. They were all cousins, and they were linked in various ways to the Byzantine Empire, for example, in the east, the Abbasid Caliphate. I'm sure it would come as a horrific shock to some of these anti-woke people to know that there was a Saxon king, Offa, the king of Mercia, who actually put an Arabic inscription on one of his coins as a kind of imitation of an Arabic dirham because he wanted to aspire to the wealth of the caliphate. So the whole argument around dialogue do these people really want hey nonny no and I prithee all over their historical dramas? I certainly don't. In terms of what a historical drama is, it's a drama first and then history. But yes, it has to be grounded in the history. But so far, what I've seen of King and Conqueror, few quibbles on the quality of the script, but I think the drama has been good, the acting has been solid, and it's an interesting take on the period. It is not intended to be a documentary. And what I hear from some of these so-called historians is really just special pleading. They're positioning themselves, they think, to be consultants on future TV historical dramas. Let me assure you, TV has a long memory. They will not be forgiven for some of the tripe that they've put on social media attacking this and other shows. It doesn't make them darlings for the TV industry, so pack it in. So in short, I think King and Conqueror is a solid historical drama. It's very watchable. It's got some great actors in it. And I think it should be given time to live and breathe on our screens. And you know, if we keep attacking this kind of content, then TV is not going to make more of it. Because if there's this level of opprobrium every time a historical drama comes out, well, TV execs will say, why bother? Let's just put Strictly Come Dancing on. Is that the victory that some historians want? Now, just a final plug for something I've done. I've recently written a book on the Knights Templar. Here it is. So if you want to read about the Templars, get that book. Now, that's a non-fiction book, which means that I don't expect Templar historical fiction to be absolutely true to all the facts about the Templars. You know, I know the difference between a drama and a documentary. There's a difference. So anyway, thank you for watching. Do leave your comments below, whether they are supportive or bilious. I don't really care. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.